So we were right on track yesterday with our breaking video. If you guys didn't get a chance to see that one, looking at Bitcoin really starting to see a breakout and possibly some altcoins. So today we thought let's do an altcoin video for you guys and break out some of those movements. You're going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. This is going to be a good one because we'll have our analyst, one of our analysts on today, Tim Warren. He'll be joining us as well. But I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. If you're looking at self-custody, and you should be, even in times where we see these bull markets start to heat up, Tangem is the place to go. Check it out. It's one of the most secure wallets out there. I like it because not only is it secure, it's very easy to set up. So if you're brand new to self-custody and you're a little worried about the tech behind it, don't be. This is the wallet for you. All you have to go do is visit tangem.com. They'll mail you your cards. Just hit that little Get Tangem. You'll get a 3-card set. Do that, get the backup. And then, of course, setting it up is, I'm telling you, it's within minutes and you've got self-custody ready to go. So check it out. Use our code. It does help the channel. All right, I want to get into it today. I want to bring in, of course, Tim Warren from Investing Broz. Great to have you back, Tim.
Great to be back, Paul. Good to see you again.
It's been good. A little bit of a heated market here. Things are starting to move a little bit. Everybody's asking, is this the beginning, of where we might see this next leg up? Here's a piece right here, right now from TED Talks Macro. As for crypto liquidity, it's reached positive territory again. This again after 5 weeks. So we've now entered a new zone of this. When you look at liquidity, this is a tremendously important metric that I think a lot of people kind of really underestimate the importance of it. But you look at liquidity right now in the ups and downs, and you'll notice right here, just in that chart, there's in and outs. How long do you think this one could last in terms of liquidity in the market right now?
Yeah, I think that when you look at liquidity coming in and out, like you said, it's back and forth, back and forth. I don't know if I've done this on your show before, but if you go back and look at the history of Bitcoin post-halving, when you look at the rally from the bear market bottom to whatever the high rally is that happens before the halving event, it usually on average takes between 3 to 5 months for Bitcoin to hit a new high of that current rally. So I prepared the Investing Bros community pretty heavily. I was like, hey guys, look for volatility, look for choppiness, look for the news to go back and forth on you. But honestly, I'm going to talk about when we get to the charts today. I think there's a decent chance Bitcoin could get up to 71,000 here in the next couple of weeks. But then I think something happens and we come right back down. I'm not expecting at this point a new high for Bitcoin until maybe August to September of later this year.
So this might be one of those times where it's a good play to kind of reposition, swing trades, etc. This was an article over on the potato. Crypto investors turning greedy as Bitcoin surges past 66. Back to your point, one note right there, crypto fear and greed index now up to 74. That's pretty high, in a time where it literally, with just a couple of weeks ago, was 20 ports below this. So along with, when you think about that and then this next phase of what happens next kind of scenario, Bitcoin going to 71, you don't feel that this is necessarily the next leg up for Bitcoin on its way. Is there anything in the market that could be happening that would change your mind?
Yeah, I mean, if we hit a new all-time high, if Bitcoin goes above 73, hit 74, then I'll say, okay, I was wrong on this one. But I mean, let's even just think about recent months. Every single time we start to fall too far and then we get a good bounce, we get some sort of headline saying, oh, we had record inflows today into Bitcoin ETFs. And then the price will start rallying, and all of a sudden there's all these articles saying, oh, the outflows are done, Grayscale's done bleeding. And then boom, there's a big red candle and people are like, what happens? Oh, look at that. People sold more Grayscale. This is that phase where, again, Bitcoin is the future of value and wealth, and the institutions know it. However, if you can suppress the price to allow more of your wealthy friends to come in, or even yourself to keep accumulating more money to buy at these low levels, and I think 67,000, when we look back on this a year from now, 2 years from now, that's a low price. Yeah, so they want to accumulate as much as possible. And this is that dragging, very boring season where price goes up and down and confuses the average retail investor. And some of them will get discouraged and maybe leave because they think that the bull market's over. And then boom, like a thief in the night, the price just takes off without you.
Well, and this is a thing that we talked about this week quite a bit on some of the live streams, and that is just the pouring of institutional capital coming into the space, because now everybody's starting to reveal on their quarterly reports where they stand on these ETFs, which is, I think, a little bit more telling than it has been in the past. Could be the reason we're seeing the run right now. However, there's a handful of investors that are looking at maybe playing this a little differently. Here's Michael Vandepop. He was talking about this. You and I kind of chatted in the pre-show about his position. He's been a Bitcoin holder for a long time. And he's saying, hey, maybe this is the time for me to exit, because this is the opportunity to jump into an altcoin or a variety of them and start to move with those kinds of gains versus the Bitcoin gains that might be, let's say, one, if we see a really amazing bull run, 2x from here. So what do you think about that? What would be your strategy right now? If you were holding a bunch of Bitcoin, you came in, somewhere around 40 and up, and you're just sitting there on a ton of profit, and you need to think about it.
Yeah, I like Michael Vandepop. I'm going to be honest, and he would say the same thing. This whole article is kind of a clickbait. Let's get people to read that weird looking headline, I'm selling all my Bitcoin.
Yeah, sure.
And then get into the details. He specifies his whole strategy, and everyone's strategy, I believe, in crypto should be, how do I stack more Satoshis?
Right.
He's going to take a more aggressive and different route than I am. I tell people, again, not that I give financial advice, but I suggest, I'm like, hey, I would not sell my Bitcoin right now. I might not be adding to Bitcoin right now. I might use this as a season to add more to my altcoins to buffer up my altcoin portfolio. But at the end of the day, here in 12 to 18 months, however long the Bitcoin bull market ends up going, my end goal is to stack Satoshis. And what Michael's doing is he's saying, you know what? I think Bitcoin at this place, let's just say Bitcoin goes to 20,000. I could 3x my money. If it goes to 200,000, I get 3x my money. Versus if Ethereum goes to anywhere between 15 to 20, we're talking about more like 5x to 7x their money.
Yeah.
Solana makes it over 1,000. We're talking about 8x their money.
Sure.
If Chainlink does some special things, again, I don't know if you're talking about Chainlink today, but it's on a tear.
We are. Yeah.
If Chainlink does its special thing, I mean, I have Chainlink potentially 40xing from current prices.
Holy.
So you can make a lot of money in these other altcoins. So I think his thought is, I'm going to be risky. I'm going to get rid of all my Bitcoin, put it in these altcoins, and have better opportunity to make more money, and then I'll turn it back into Satoshis later. My only concern is, even though I don't think it's going to happen, what if Gary Gensler catches a little more command and a little more control, and against everyone's wishes, really throws a hammer hard down on the altcoin space, and all of a sudden we do have some weird bull market where Bitcoin takes off uninhibited. Yeah. But then altcoins stay behind, and now all of a sudden you just sold all of your Bitcoin for altcoins. I'm a big believer of you stay diversified. Some of your holdings are not going to do 50x's, but
for sure,
the more likely to do 50x, the more likely it could flop as well.
I like that. Some of your holdings aren't going to 50x. That's a good one. We're gonna have to clip that and make that a sound bite. Some of your holdings are not going to 50x. Hey, I want to get into Ethereum a little bit. Okay, alt's flying, slightest sign of life from ETH. We're seeing a little bit, could see a little bit more. There are some things brewing, on the regulatory front. We'll talk about that soon. And you could imagine if it stops bleeding back to your point, where do you see, let's take a look at your chart. Where do you see Ethereum right now as it starts to clip over 3,100, I think it was this morning?
Yeah, kind of taking a little bit of a move right there. Let's see, there we go. So right now, Ethereum's in a little bit of a descending channel since the high of this cycle. So until we break above this yellow line here, I'm not necessarily too overwhelmingly bullish on Ethereum. The other thing that I'm a little bit concerned about right now, this is a season where, again, I told you boring action for Bitcoin, but we're watching altcoins kind of bleed. It's bouncing on its own support level, but ETH over Bitcoin isn't necessarily doing well. And here just yesterday hit a brand new low for the cycle. Now, could that mean we get a little bit of a bounce back up? Possibly. And that could be the catalyst for why Ethereum ends up breaking above, what range do I want to kind of put here? Because it's a descending level of resistance. Let's just call it around 3240, give or take. We kind of need to get above that level and break that resistance to feel overwhelmingly bullish. But the good news, I will say, is these formations, these descending channels, more often than not do break to the upside, but you just have to continue to take everything with a grain of salt, because in case anyone doesn't see this on the chart themselves, there has been a nice little defense for support around this 2875 level, but we're still setting these lower highs. And until we start breaking that and setting higher highs here, Ethereum is in jeopardy of playing out what's called a descending triangle, and these break to the downside and could have Ethereum drop back down to lower $2,000 levels. As far as what Lux is saying right now, this is the other thing that I'm waiting for. If I were to flip here real quickly, so this is the Lux algo indicator here. If I were to flip to other altcoins, Solana recently has gotten a daily buy signal here. Chainlink got a daily buy signal right here.
Right.
Bitcoin, of course, has a day before got a daily buy signal. Ethereum doesn't. It doesn't have it. And what it actually has above it, remember I said we need to get above that 3240, give or take. Well, that was, I didn't even pull this up to think about it. This is what it's called a bearish breaker block, meaning we had an order block, a high level of liquidity way back here on April 4th, that instead of bouncing and kind of sufficing the whales wants to buy up that level, we slice through it. And that turns it into a high level of liquidity for resistance. And you can see we've now bounced back up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and rejected on that level. There's a lot that says we could do that once again and reject there again and have lower levels coming in. So I'm not going to try to FUD Ethereum. I would really like to see it break above here, and eventually it will. But I am in a spot where if you're asking me for conviction, Tim, are you super bullish on Ethereum? Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the flashes of confidence from the bulls that I'm seeing necessarily from other coins. I mean, the other thing I would say if I turn off Lux Algo is I would say take a look. Let's go to a lower time frame here. And it's decent, but the volume here on Ethereum does not necessarily match, for example, the big volume on Link. Chainlink had some big volume come in here confirming all this move. I believe even Solana's isn't that impressive either, so I guess that's not necessarily what I'm going to compare it to, but I'm not seeing an overwhelming amount of confidence from the bulls. I'm just seeing high volume spike when we get back down to support levels. That's just saying, all right, the bears ran out of steam. It's time for the bulls to have their turn. This is not an overwhelmingly bullish market yet. And that's because I'm still under that theory of, I think Bitcoin trades sideways here, as I said, until maybe August or September. I think altcoins slightly bleed against it, causing this chart right here, the Bitcoin dominance, to continue to climb. Still, I'm still on board of predicting I think we will see Bitcoin dominance get to 60%. And right now we're sitting just south of 56.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the MSI chart. This is our sentiment indicator. This is where sometimes we kind of go back and forth on Lux Algo on trying to figure out some of the indicators, but ETH has been, for the first time, has seen a little bit of a move in terms of upward sentiment. So I don't know if that's something that is brewing right now of what's happening or the potential of what could be happening for Ethereum, but is this a breakout? That'll be the question, you know? So I'm kind of back and forth. There was an article here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. This was the piece right here, Ethereum poised for gains. This was Coinbase predicting this. Couple of points they hit in. Despite underperformance, Coinbase remains optimistic about long-term prospects. The report eats 29% year-to-date, positioning well due to lack of significant supply-side pressures and unlocks or minor sell-offs. So those are some of the things that you think about it, and then you look at this right here, which is we think the market may be underestimating the timing and odds of a potential approval. Let me zoom in on that right there, which leaves room for surprises to the upside.
Oh, absolutely.
So if we get, and maybe that's what we're catching on some of the sentiment data, is there something brewing right here that we don't really, maybe anticipate? Because I'm still been in the camp of, I just don't see the approval coming from Gensler unless something changes in the landscape. So that's one for sure. I want to jump to Chainlink because you hit on that. Chainlink surging 30% as DTCC explores blockchain for mutual fund data delivery. This is a big move for Chainlink. But if you look at the chart, and you see this rip that we saw yesterday and today, where does it stop? What's your opinion right now?
Yeah, so at the moment, I actually, for my community, put in this is my goal trade right here. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't like to buy in and try to chase big gains. So I'm looking for a long on Chainlink. I want to see if I can get a pullback back down to 1560, give or take. But I have a target back up at $20 here.
Oh, wow.
There's a couple of reasons. There's a couple of reasons why. So the first thing that Chainlink did very, very bullishly, and this is what, when we were talking about Ethereum, I hope Ethereum does this as well, but you just don't count chickens before they hatch. Ethereum was in a very bearish formation right here, where when you look at these red lines, this was a symmetrical triangle pattern attached to a very bearish flagpole. So a lot of people could have called this a bear pennant, in which case we could have seen Chainlink, if that had broken out to the downside, we could have seen a breakout back below $10, back down to that significant resistance level from years before, back in early 2022. But instead, we saw that volume come in and we broke to the upside. So we're seeing this give us a price prediction back up here around $20.30. Then we turn on Lux Algo here, and we're seeing we're under a buy order. Well, guess what? We have a conservative take profit coming in around $18, but there's a big order block right now matched with the more aggressive take profit, where up here at $20 again, just above $20. And so what I'm watching right now, the reason why I'm looking for a pullback potentially is you can see here on the daily chart, we are running into what's called the smart trail concept. This is kind of the first strong level of resistance when it's red. When we break through, that's when I'm going to keep my eye on the next level of that big order block. But for now, I'm kind of hoping on these lower time frames, you can kind of see we're running out of steam here. We've hit our take profit. If we can get a pullback down to the hourly smart trail, kind of get a purchase in here on 1550, that I think is what's going to potentially give me an opportunity to get this entry for a long on Chainlink. But that's my next target, $20 on Chainlink. If we continue this bullishness and can get above that smart trail around $18, I think $20 is the next level of kind of, hey, let's get up there. There'll probably be some form of a pullback, and the market will have to reevaluate. I'm not ready to say that Chainlink's going to brand new highs yet. Again, I told you earlier, I'm very bullish on Chainlink. I think that Chainlink has the opportunity to potentially become the number 3, at least top 10, but I think it may be as high as a top 3 altcoin on CoinMarketCap by the time this is all said and done, which if you go back and historically look at coins at that level, we're talking about a market cap somewhere between at least $300 billion, maybe even pushing closer to $600 billion if the whole market gets to about 11 trillion, which is my expectation. I'm very bullish on Chainlink. I see it in chat. I see it all over the place. People will call me crazy. People will call me nuts. But if you do any research on what Chainlink is going to accomplish for crypto and for the world and the agencies that they're partnering with, Chainlink's special. Chainlink, it might be like the second most trusted crypto out there behind Bitcoin in terms of still existing in the next 30 years. I hope Ethereum still exists, and Solana and Cardano and some of my other favorites. But if we're really being honest, I don't think we feel really confident yet about those still being here in 15 to 20 years. Bitcoin we're confident about, and Chainlink is what I'm kind of getting into that category of saying, I think Chainlink is getting close to being a lock of being with us for a very, very long time and being very valuable.
Yeah, well, you look at the previous market high, if you look at in terms of recent markets, I mean, Chainlink, of course, clipped in around 53 almost. That would still be a 2x gain, even if it was just coming off this $16 rate or price tag right now. So even if you just go conservative, right now, if you were to look at Chainlink in, say, a 6 to 12 month range, where would you pull that in terms of a price target right now? Because obviously it's starting to come back into that range, which there's been a lot of consolidation in right there between what was November of last year all the way through January, and then we started to see a little bit of movement. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'll show my price targets. I have a video on my channel where I give these as well. Oh, I took them down. Maybe because I haven't remade the video. I made a video a while ago, but I think I'm making another one. But I'll give you guys the levels. I think there's a decent chance we get somewhere between $500 to $700 on Chainlink. Okay. And the reason, again, I kind of said this, even though I'm a technical analyst.
What is that, a 15x?
It is from right now.
From its all-time high.
Well, from right now, the lower end 30x, higher end 45x, give or take, from previous all-time high. I mean, we're still looking at at that higher end, we're still looking at a 13x. Yeah. But again, I'm not necessarily even using technical analysis for this prediction, and the reason why is we've seen here before Chainlink has had big explosions in its past. But this is an institutional coin. Like, this is a coin that the institutions are going to love. And then when you just put on your thinking hat, the 2021 market was not for institutions. That was the season of time where crypto was being fought by institutions. Right. I'm of the belief that there was a lot of suppression. Bitcoin really probably should have hit 100,000. Some of these other altcoins should have gone a lot higher, but it wasn't the right bull market. Well, this is the right bull market. This is the bull market of institutional adoption, and I don't think there's a coin more friendly to institutions except for Bitcoin being store of value. But
Mhm.
Chainlink, I mean, I think Ethereum's going to be awesome too. I think there's a lot of coins that'll benefit from institutions, but I think not a single one benefits more than Chainlink. And again, I have this coin going from currently, I mean, it's ranked number, let's see, it jumped up to 15. It was at 17 yesterday. We're talking about a less than a $10 billion market cap right now.
Yeah.
I think this market cap will be, it'll have a dominance somewhere between 3 to 5% of the total crypto market cap. And I'm of the personal belief that we get to about 11 trillion. That number puts that market cap for that number 3 to number 5 spot somewhere
Yeah.
between 300 to 600 billion
Yeah.
dollars. That's big for a coin like Chainlink.
All right, well, you guys heard it here. Tim is out there calling Chainlink right now as one of the big winners. Let's go into another one, another area of it, and that, of course, is Render and NVIDIA. When you look at AI and you look at some of the cloud compute technology out there, NVIDIA comes up, but also Render on the crypto side. And I think a lot of our audience still follows Render pretty heavily, and it has had some significant moves. Where does the Render chart show right now in terms of your opinion on near-term potential growth?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up some stuff here for Render. This is one that I actually was in a short in the other day, had a good take profit. I actually was able to catch close to the top up here and then take profit down around 989 or so. Render, though, is doing very well, and it's good that we connect NVIDIA and Render, because this is the NVIDIA chart, still wrestling with, didn't quite set a new all-time high here yesterday, but got very close, pretty much triple topped around our top zone. This is a project I think is going to continue to do very, very well. However, NVIDIA is already very established. I'm very bullish on Render because I believe that Render stands the most to gain from the continued success of NVIDIA. And so even though Render is slightly down over the last couple of days from where it was and hasn't gotten the same rally that we are seeing today and yesterday, like Bitcoin and Chainlink and Solana are getting, it's relatively very close to that that high. I guess let me make sure I didn't misspeak. Okay, that is all-time high. Yeah, it's actually very close. This coin is only down 25% from its all-time high. That just shows you the absolute bullishness of Render and how explosive it's going to be. Everything cools off. I mean, when you have these massive gains like this, let's just even go back to the August-September area of 2023. I just wanted people to kind of put this into perspective. We saw almost an 1,000% gain and then a measly little 50% pullback. And now we're back up to flirting with the concept of going back to all-time highs. And it's not even alt season just yet.
Yeah.
Again,
exactly.
that Bitcoin dominance chart tells a large story, but Render is one I'm very big on. I think that long-term, I don't know if I have a price prediction for Render. I haven't put the numbers together on that, but currently Render is ranked number 27. I think this is one that easily squeaks into the top 15. I think this is another 20 to 30x from current price action. And that's saying a lot because it's already very high. But I think that Render is going to jump near as the number one market cap for altcoins that are AI altcoins. And I think Render does very well. As far as short term, though, I'm talking about the next month or so, we have kind of hit our take profit here.
Yeah, we could see some volatility.
I think the next move is probably boring sideways, maybe slightly down. I think you could see a pullback to $8.80, maybe $9 area before it's all said and done. I wouldn't bet that much on stuff going below that unless something catastrophic happens to NVIDIA in the AI space, which I don't envision. But this is, again, a coin that's done very, very well. So just because I'm not bullish on it over the next week does not mean it's not a coin with a lot of potential moving forward.
Yeah, well, NVIDIA is expected to bring in almost $25 billion in revenue for Q1. So we'll get those
When
numbers
is that report?
Next week. So
okay, that could change everything. Yeah, that could change everything.
So significant increase. That's from 7.19 billion in the same quarter last year. I mean, geez, you don't see those kind of performances on typical Wall Street players out there. So back to your point, there's a lot of correlation here. It is one, and I agree with you. I think Render is going to be the cloud compute token this cycle. I think it does outpace Near Protocol for sure. Other things that kind of come into that when you look at NVIDIA and Render in general, and just what Render has been able to do in terms of the gaming side, or not gaming side, but their connection with Apple, what they did with the iPad. The potential there, I think, for Octane X is going to be pretty significant in terms of growth. So I'm in agreement with you. Let's go over and, oh, by the way, if you guys are not, in on the poll, make sure and get in on the poll. We want to get to that before it's for the end of the show. And then also make sure and smash the like button. Do you like these kind of trading? When we bring in Tim and some of our other traders, obviously Evan sometimes will come in on the desk. Let us know. Just drop some comments and smash the like button. We always love to get you guys' feedback on that. Let's jump over to Solana, because Solana, of course, has been on the move the last week, surpassing Ethereum and Polygon in terms of transaction speed, kind of expected. But performance-wise, Solana has been really aggressive over the last 10 days. What are your thoughts on Solana right now? Is this an interim move or something that's going to set it up?
Yeah, Paul, I've learned one thing since way back at early 2023. Don't bet on Solana. Don't bet against Solana. Excuse me.
Yeah.
If you find little opportunities for a short option, like a scalp short, go for it. But anything long term just doesn't work out. In fact, like I've recently, especially using this Luxago indicator, I'm trading at the moment probably between 85 to 90% profitable.
Wow.
Solana, I think if I just didn't trade Solana, especially if I didn't try to enter shorts on Solana, I'd probably be closer to 100% because this is the one that gets me. The 4 hour, the reason why is because the 4 hour yesterday was just showing so many signs of being overextended and it was time to cool off. So I was like, you know what, let's go enter a short. And for a while I was in take profit, but I did say to my community, I said, this has me worried on the daily chart that we just flashed bullish for the first time in a while, a good flash of being bullish. And sure enough, that is taking off. Remember, I talked about this on Bitcoin and Chainlink a little bit. There's a smart trail that's kind of working as a level of resistance here around 170. You can see we've already wicked above, but we've come back down below. So until we close a candle above it, we can't necessarily say we defeated it. But we're looking at Solana and saying, all right, 178 easily could come into play here. Then you start to look to the upside and you're looking back up towards $200 as the next stopping point for Solana. And I'll say this again, when we talk about that $200 level, I mean, we're at 168 right now, 170. I, a while ago, made a price prediction for Solana to get to $1,000. And when I made that prediction, I think the price action of Solana, I think when I made that video, we were talking about being around $30 to $40. So it's still a lot of gains. Now it's like one of those things of, if my price prediction of 1,000 holds up, and I'm not ready to change it just yet, but that's only a 5x, a little more than a 5x for Solana. That's really nothing. And this coin is demanding so much more. Could we see Solana break the mold and not do what normal number 3 altcoins do? I don't think it's going to pass Ethereum, but could we see Solana maybe make a market cap closer to $1 trillion and maybe make a push towards 2,000? Yeah. I'm not ready to predict that just yet. But again, watching these charts and looking at how Solana moves, I mean, big gains here. And the most it can suffice for these big pullbacks is a measly 43%. I mean, this is a chart that any other coin with this massive rally that Solana had, let me pull off Luxago so it's less messy here. Any other coin that has this gain, I'm not even going to go back to the December of 2022 when we went down to $8. I'm just going to talk about levels in late 2023. This one, we're talking about a rally of 1,100%. That's what Render did, and Render had to pull back more than 50%. Solana pulled back 43 and said, all right, good enough, we're going to take off again. This is not a coin to be shorting right now. I would just say if you own Solana, hold on. If you can get a hold of someone on dip, go ahead and get some more. But I think Solana is going to be one of the crazy ones to try to predict long term about its price action. I think that there are concerns about Solana long term. Maybe definitely fixing some of the outages and fixing some of the scams that can happen via their protocol. But it's one of those things you have to take the bad with the good. Sure. Why is Solana so special? Because it's fast, it's easy, it's cheap to get in there and build on it, so the everyday person can do it. Well, whenever you have something like that, you have to be concerned about bad players as well. But that's the Wild West, and you can make a lot of money in the Wild West. But I think if Solana can fix that, Solana could be very, very special in the next 10 to 15 years.
Another one that I agree. First of all, obviously we love the project, and I like all the infrastructure that's being built around it as well. That it just continues the case of where Solana is going. Again, the 2,000 mark, that would surprise me a little bit. Is it out of the picture? Who knows? But I'm pretty stoked on where it's going to go. I want to get into one that's a little bit I think in a little bit undersung right now, and that of course is Avalanche. Avalanche comes in a lot of tokenization projects that they're doing. They've got this thing going on with the wine industry. We've seen them already with what they've done with JP Morgan. There's a lot of opportunity here. And then you also consider with Avalanche things like this. This is off the grid. And this thing's getting ready to go live over on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series as well, starting June, which is in 3 weeks. So you've got gaming, you've got real world assets, all this playing in, and you have Avalanche holding it around that $30 to $35 range, which is quite a bit under what we've seen here in its recent pump. What do you think about Avalanche right now?
And another one, I can kind of address the shorter term, what I think, and then I'll address the longer term here. This is one, again, big rallies here. I don't know if it was quite the same as Solana. Let me see. I don't want to get the exact number right from back here in October. We saw AVAX go up 650. So still a very good rally, but it pulled back itself 55% here more recently from those highs of this rally. You can kind of see it. It's a coin that hasn't necessarily broken out in the same way Chainlink has or Bitcoin has or Solana has. It's got this nice tight range. And I have this zone here before, but I'll just adjust this zone because I don't know why I have it up there anyway. You can see there's this nice little pocket right here we've been trading back and forth. A couple of wicks below, technically a couple of wicks above. But this zone right here between give or take $40 and $31, $32, I need to see it break out of that above to feel massively bullish on it again, kind of similar to what I was thinking with Ethereum. I can't rule out the bullishness in the next week or two, but it's not screaming, you got to buy it right now. And then take a look here. We got that breaker block, that bearish breaker block, and a falling smart trail here on the daily chart coming in here. So a lot of resistance here. We did flash bullish today. We did flash a buy. So that's encouraging. But let's see what tomorrow looks like. If we hit this today or early tomorrow and keel back over and have a blue candle, that's not the greatest buy signal in the world. A lot of resistance, strong resistance sitting there. Let's see what we have going on here. I do like that the RSI is breaking above the 50. That's a sign of strength. The MACD looks bullish. And then here we go. All right, I will say this. If we're going to break bullish, you got to wait to see it happen first. But I love when this indicator flashes like this. This bright red is a money flow signal that there's an excessive amount of sellers in the space. But you can see when you zoom in, it's keeling over and starting to go to the upside. More often than not, when you have these excessive sellers in the space and then they leave, that's like a weight on the market, and then that weight leaves. And just like let's say you're in a pool and you're playing with like a basketball and you're holding that basketball below the water. The minute you release that ball, it shoots up out of the water, right? So a lot of times you can see price action respond that way, and that could give it the power to break through this breaker block, which again has been tested 1, 2, 3 times. So maybe we can finally go ahead and break that and break out with AVAX, maybe get back up here closer towards $50. That's the short-term kind of hope right there, I would say. I don't want to necessarily say that's for sure, but this is another one. You talk about long-term price action. And this, I don't know if I have my price predictions up here. Oh, I do. I have a video on my channel. I think that AVAX is one that could get between $650 to potentially $1,000. I think I lean a little closer towards the 650, but this is another real-world asset token, which, similar to Chainlink, again, is a coin that is an institutional dream. Like the institutions love these real world assets. So when people look too much at the past bull market and say, well, it only did this or it only did that. Well, that wasn't its bull market.
Yeah.
Very different game. I think AVAX is another special one. I'm putting this one, squarely in the top 10 by the time the bull market's over, but I think it could wrestle for potentially a number 6 or 7 spot on the CoinMarketCap rankings.
That would definitely go in line with what our prediction has been, which is somewhere in the 700 plus range for AVAX. If we continue to see the wins that we're seeing right now in terms of real world asset gains, but also the gaming sector, which I think is yet to heat up. The other one that is starting to kind of also play in that same sandbox has been XRP. XRP was thought to kind of go a little bit on the sidelines, but we've got a big decision coming up here, right here on May 20th. We're going to see we saw the briefs come in, and then that's where we're going to see the opposition to the omnibus letter motions. Basically, the fine is what it boils down to. So if it comes in at a lower fine than, say, my estimate right now is around 25 million, but that would be a win. I still think that would be a huge win considering what they're trying to get. And I think that's when the judge slaps them back down. If that comes back into reality, again, that's just another win for XRP. And this is one that, people have kind of been saying, this is a sleeper token. It's one that's been pent up and held down for so long. You've got stablecoin launching this summer. All these good things happening within XRP, most likely Ripple filing an IPO. All this good news. Where would XRP be, and do you like it?
I don't want to say I don't like XRP, and I still hold a bag of it. And I think we'll see a new all-time high. But, Paula, a couple of months ago, I would have told you, if you asked me what price could XRP get to, I would have said, I think there's a chance we could start to push towards $20. I think there's an outside chance. I just don't love what this chart looks like, though. I'm still predicting somewhere between 6 to 10. So don't, if anyone's like, oh, Tim hates XRP. I mean, we're still talking about somewhere between a 10x to 15x. Yeah. So I'm not hating on it, but what do we think is going to happen? Like with the lawsuit, does anyone think that the SEC is going to win? Why is there not more bullish pressure on XRP with all of the wins coming in here?
Well, I think it's all based on the amount of the fine. If they are able to get the judge to approve that fine, that would be the ridiculous fine that they've proposed, versus coming in with a very light touch fine. Because if we get a light touch fine, this could be its sign for taking off. So I think that's what, and then of course right behind it on its heels, this timing is very interesting, because then you have the big event with Ripple that they're going to do in Amsterdam, and all that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm rooting for it. I'm not an anti-XRP person. I have what I would think are credible concerns, being one, there's a lot of reasons to be bullish about XRP, and yet the price isn't going up. Then you have things like, I know they're backed off on it, but there's that flirtation that Ripple has with potentially going public. That would take attention away from the XRP token. They're having this discussion about stable coins. Well, I'm not so far as I've heard some people say, if we have a stable coin built by Ripple, why do we need XRP? I'm not there, but you can't argue that stable coin won't compete with market cap for XRP. And then, of course, the other thing is, not that they're directly competitive, but Chainlink, the emergence of Chainlink, I think, is a threat to the dominance of XRP. The XRP will still do well. It'll still do its thing. I think the world needs XRP. That's why I'm not a FUD or a hater of it, but I'm trying to be realistic when I say there's a lot of things stacked against XRP from doing ridiculous runs like $20 to $30 per coin, which I think some people still think are in the cards. I have an expectation with my bag. I'm expecting to be able to take some profit somewhere between $6 to $10. I just don't think that this is XRP's bull market.
Interesting. Last up, we have to talk about GameStop. Obviously, with all the news early in the week, many people playing the Solana tokens. We saw GME and AMC both on the Solana ecosystem. But if you get into the actual GameStop itself, remember, you've got a lot of things happening in there. They, of course, GameStop filed to sell up to 45 million shares at the same time. Do you follow the GameStop stock side of things?
I don't. I follow the meme side of it, because early in my trading, I remember the chaos back in 2021.
Yes.
With Robinhood and everything, and just the complete injustice and the outcry. So to see it's actually very nostalgic, because I told you that was the early days of my trading. So it's like, take me back to those early days. And I'm like, I remember this, but I don't mess with it, because ultimately I see that as that is the stock market's meme coin,
meme token.
And I don't play with meme coins that often. I like to trade the coins with utility, because then you can trade based off of realistic chart stuff, news that comes out that is good or bad. Meme coins are really, how are the whales feeling today? Do whales feel like we have more bullishness, or do whales think this is good enough then they want to sell? And I'm not one of those whales. I'm not on the insides of those groups. So to me, that's like playing with fire. You can make a lot of money playing with that fire. But I like to just play with the coins that are a little more predictable than the meme coin space, and that keeps me out of the GameStop and everything else.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we're going to get some questions in. We'll take a look at the poll. By the way, if you guys have not checked out our market sentiment index, make sure and go over to Paul Barron Network. You'll find it over there, and you can find sentiment on all these top 30, but we also do some additional altcoins as well. So you can get into some of the gaming tokens, things of that nature, all available over there. Check it out. And let's go to the poll real quick. Take a look at that one. All right, here we go. What would you do if Ethereum ETF is shockingly approved? What would you buy? Everybody says that would automatically mean buy Solana. But there's Chainlink slagging in last right there.
Yeah.
What's going on? Show that again. Let's make sure and let Tim see that. 800, but only 800 votes. So we've got a weak audience out there today.
I mean, I think this is a fair poll. I don't know why. I mean, obviously, I liked all four of those coins you have up there. So I would almost say you buy all four of them. But I don't disagree with Chainlink being low, though. I don't think that Ethereum doing well has a positive or a negative for Chainlink, so it'll have very little effect on its price. Obviously, it will affect Ethereum very nicely, yeah.
I want to, because questions are coming in, and I get so much flack from the Hedera community, so we got to give this thing some light and look at HBAR. Let's take a look at the HBAR chart, because you and I have been back and forth on HBAR. We like it, we're in, we're out. It's not necessarily a negative thing. I think it's a good thing. And of course, there was a little bit of news, I think, we haven't heard completely, but what does the chart look like?
So back to the boringness. I mean, this is kind of, I think we talked about this on the channel. We'd kind of been ranging here with an average price somewhere around 11 cents. We had a fall, a week or so before that big craze, but then we rallied here and then we just came right back into that boring sideways price action for HBAR. Honestly, I haven't done TA on HBAR in a while. I'll say being on the north side of that smart trail is bullish for them. They still have a take profit under this. Well, they've hit it already. So this is a chart with no new updates here. It technically still has a take profit up here at 13 cents, but it was hit way back here when we had the big rally. Now there's not enough bearishness to cause a bear push, but there's not any new momentum for bulls either. I think this is a coin that's this coin speaks more on the altcoin space as a whole right now than I think the whole landscape does. It's not time for altcoins to go parabolic. It's time for altcoins to take a back seat while we figure out what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And then once Bitcoin takes off, just like the cycles show, Bitcoin takes off, then Ethereum takes off, and the altcoins are not far behind. And then you have what makes a lot of people millionaires. And I think HBAR, I'm still bullish on HBAR. I do think this whole shabacle here where they announced they were partnered with BlackRock was a little bit misleading. And I don't think it's going to hurt it, but it's not going to help.
It paid for it, though. I think it paid for it, with that regression on the chart there for sure. Let's take a look here. Yes, we covered HBAR, so we agree. I think there's times when playing HBAR is a good move. It's just not one of the tokens that I've been all in on. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I like the project. We've had them on the show many times. Great concepts, and I'm still waiting for the killer app on HBAR, which I still believe is going to be Netflix. It's just going to happen. We need entertainment on there. It needs to be Netflix as one of their governance board members, which would be huge. There isn't a company like Ripple behind any other token. I would agree with that. Decade of institutional partnerships could play into where XRP is coming. XRP and XRPL actively. We did a big XRPL video last week, and it was a pretty good video. Go check it out, guys. I think you'll like it if you're looking at understanding what's happening in that. 6 to 10. Please stop. Please stop drinking. Okay. You guys are, man, they're crazy. They're crazy in the comments.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, everyone, when you give out price predictions, everyone has their opinion. And that's the cool thing. And I tell everyone this. Hopefully, nobody bought Chainlink today or Solana or Near or anything I said because I said it. Again, I didn't get to go into depth. If you want to go to my channel and listen to my reasoning, and then if you agree with it, invest on it. But I tell everyone, I'm just here to help educate people on charts and to think through things for themselves. It sounds like you have a very intelligent audience here, Paul. So everyone, if you guys have your price point and you're comfortable with it, good for you. That to me is the win. When you can think for yourself and make your own decisions, that's awesome. I'm just here to help some people who maybe are confused and need to learn chart stuff and need to kind of think on narratives to get perspective.
You guys go over to Tim's channel. Here it is, right here. Investing Broz, B-R-O-Z. You can check it over there. Man, you're up to 16.4, man. You're going to crack 20K in no time.
We've kind of had a boom here over the last month or so. So yeah, I
Well,
think
because you're coming
that's
on
the goal.
PBN. We're going to get you there,
Yeah.
bro. We're going to get you, bros. We're going to get you over there. Don't worry about it. How's T Shroom doing?
He's doing good. He's actually out of town now. He left this morning for his bachelor trip. He's getting married on June 1st. So we're not going to be in Austin, Texas, because I'm going to be down at his wedding.
We'll miss you.
Down in Florida. So he's really excited that new season of life. And Broz, everything in his life's going well right now too. So
I like it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you guys want to catch me, I'll be down at Consensus. We're going to be doing a lot there. I'm going to be co-hosting with John Deaton, so trying to pull more backing behind. Yeah, it's going to be a good deal. I think Crypto Wendy's on it, Melker's on there, so quite a few people, and then of course Metal Allman's kind of organizing the whole thing. So if you guys want to come and get in on that, I'll start dropping tweets this weekend on how you can get involved and actually come to the fundraiser if you decide you want to get in on it. So check it out. All right, listen, if you're not Tim, listen, thanks a lot, man, for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We'll catch you here in a couple of weeks. If you guys are not part of the Diamond Circle, get in right now. It's another great place to get additional content, more content than sometimes we do here on even the YouTube channel, and or follow me on X, which is just @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechBath.